Salam keluarga Malaysia. Hello and good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shuhaida Arifin and you're watching Updates at Noon. Making the headlines today. Explosion inside coal mine triggers collapse in Turkey. UMNO PAS cooperation still possible. An explosion inside a coal mine in northern Turkey killed at least 25 people, Turkish officials have said, while rescuers were trying to bring dozens of others trapped inside the mine to the surface. The explosion occurred on Friday at the state-owned TTK Amasra Muassasa Mudulugu mine in the town of Amasra in the Black Sea coastal province of Partini. Energy Minister Fatih Donmas said the explosion is likely to have been caused by a fire damp, a reference to flammable gases found in coal mines. According to Interior Minister Sulaiman Soylu, there were 110 people inside the mine at the time of the explosion. Most of the workers were able to vacate the mine following the blast, but 49 were trapped in a high-risk area of the facility. Soylu also said that some among the 49 had been lifted to safety. Turkey's disaster management agency, AFAD, said several rescue teams were dispatched to the area, including from neighbouring provinces. People were also seen rushing to the mine for news of trapped friends or colleagues. The Bartin Governor's Office said the explosion occurred 300 meters below the entrance of the mine. Bartin Governor Nurtaka Aslan said 44 people were trapped 300 meters below the entrance of the mine and 5 more were trapped 350 meters below the entrance. Ketua UMNO Division is of the view that there's still room for political cooperation between the party and PAS in the 15th general election GE15. Its division head Tan Sri Anwar Musa said the top leaderships of both parties should take a wiser approach as the grassroots cooperation is still acceptable. Elaborating further on the matter, Tan Sri Anwar said he actually sees UMNO and PAS as the pillar which other parties do not have.
Dan saya secara peribadi masih mengharapkan pucuk pimpinan terus berikhtiar mencari jalan. Yang penting kita nak tengok kawasan-kawasan Parlimen majoriti Melayu hendaklah menjadi satu force yang solid untuk memberikan kestabilan.
He said this after opening the Ketua UMNO Division Delegates meeting and launching of Barisan Nasional Election Machinery at Kompleks Yayasan Kemiskinan Kelantan YKK Melo yesterday. The Ketua UMNO Division head was commenting on PAS Secretary General Datuk Seri Taqiyuddin Hassan's statement that PAS is still open to collaborating with any political party in GE15, including realising the unification of the Ummah. He noted that the PAS is seen as not closing the door of cooperation with UMNO and he understands their situation as party members. He added that there is still room for cooperation, that's an effort must continue to use every opportunity to continue negotiating. On another note, Ketua UMNO Division has proposed that current UMNO Vice President Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob be chosen as the country's next Prime Minister when Barisan Nasional forms the government after the 15th general election. The proposal was among 5 resolutions put forward during the Ketua UMNO's Division meeting yesterday and seconded unanimously by all members. Ketua UMNO Division fully supports the decision by the UMNO Supreme Council and UMNO General Assembly that Ismail Sabri be the candidate for Prime Minister after the GE15. The resolution said all initiatives under the government led by Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri in giving priority to the government's transformation, especially the transformation of the Parliament, the switch to the endemic phase, economic recovery, curbing inflation, cost of living, defending the monarchy, ensuring the welfare of the people, peace and harmony, and Malaysian Family Initiative through prosperity, unity and well-being are efforts brought about by him. Ketua UMNO Division wished to register the highest appreciation and syabas to the government under the administration of Ismail Sabri to continue its excellence. The division also announced its readiness to support initiatives to continue efforts to unite the people. Ketua UMNO Division is also prepared to face the GE15 and lauded its loyalty to the party and to serve the party and work closely with the component parties when facing the GE15. The Election Commission EC has been urged to find ways to ensure registered voters cast their ballots in the upcoming 15 general election, as the voter turnout recorded in the previous state elections did not hit the target that it had set. A law lecturer at International Islamic University Malaysia, Datuk Professor Madya Dr. Syam Rahayu Adobzi said the EC should make it a priority to ensure that the country's democratic system is preserved. Datuk Professor Madya Dr. Syam Rahayu said the government have lowered the voting age from 21 to 18 so that more people are involved in the election of leaders, but if the people do not vote, then majority vote won by the winning candidates is not real. Hence, she said, the EC and all quarters must ensure that more eligible Malaysians cast their votes in the GE15. The Melaka and Johor state elections recorded a voter turnout of 65.85% and 54.92% respectively, compared to the 70% targeted by the EC. The Melaka state election took place in November last year, while the Johor state election was held in March this year. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Parliament and Law, Datuk Seri Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar, strongly believes that for the judiciary, the courts should be given decision-making powers independently without influence and interference from anyone. He said this would also extend to situations where judges need to use their discretion in sentencing offenders. The minister cited the Cabinet's decision to abolish the mandatory death penalty and to give judges discretion in sentencing as an example of maintaining the judiciary's independence. He said the Cabinet's decision to abolish the mandatory death penalty in Malaysia mainly revolves around providing discretion to judges to decide on the most appropriate sentence given the varied circumstances of the case before them. When explaining the amendments that were made to the Federal Constitution, Datuk Seri Wan Junaidi said that over the past 6 decades, the Federal Constitution has been changed no less than 57 times. He further noted that unlike other fields, the law is ever evolving with constant balancing of multiple contrasting considerations. The minister said the field requires lawmakers to be humble, to realise where they have erred, and the law can be improved even on questions as subtle as the Constitution. Thus, he encourages future lawmakers of the country to continue questioning, thinking and analysing. Tourism Malaysia and Education Malaysia Global Services EMGS yesterday forged a cooperation to promote Malaysia as a destination for tourism as well as world-class educational hub of choice. The cooperation was sealed in a Memorandum of Cooperation MOC signed by Tourism Malaysia Director General Datuk Zainuddin Abdul Wahab and EMGS Chief Executive Officer Muhammad Razlan Jalaluddin and was witnessed by Higher Education Ministry Secretary General Datuk Seri Abdul Razak Jaafar. Datuk Zainuddin said through the MOC, the tourism agency will be stepping up the education tourism agenda at 30 Tourism Malaysia offices overseas. He said that the presence of international students could also encourage tourist arrivals to the country, as the students and their families would help generate the country's economy. In this regard, EMGS CEO Muhammad Razlan said, through the cooperation, more initiatives could be implemented jointly as the missions of EMGS and Tourism Malaysia are the same in attracting more foreign students to Malaysia. Said so far, EMGS had received more than 42,000 applications from international students to further their studies in Malaysia, and it is on track to achieve 50,000 applications this year. According to him, the applications are from China, Indonesia and Bangladesh. Meanwhile, Tourism Malaysia in a statement said, through the MOC, Tourism Malaysia and EMGS could benefit from sharing expertise between the two parties by communications, branding, advertising, events, campaigns, marketing and promotion materials, as well as public relations. Motorists using the Sungai Besi Ulu Klang Elevated Expressway SUK will have to start paying toll charges from 12:01 a.m. today. Project Lintasan Kota Holdings in Berhad Pro Lintas said in a statement that the toll collection involved the Phase 1 alignment from the Ceras Kajang intersection to the Bukit Antarabangsa intersection that has been open to users since 16 September. Commenting further, Pro Lintas said fees will be charged to users passing through Bukit Teratai Toll Plaza and Ampang Toll Plaza with toll rates according to the vehicle class, namely cars RM2.30, lorries RM4.60, trailers RM6.90, taxis RM1.20 and buses RM2.30. Toll collection will be fully electronic using touch and go, smart tag and RFID cards. The statement also said that the SUK Operations Department will constantly monitor the smoothness of the toll collection system at both toll plazas, in addition to stationing staff at the toll lanes in both directions of the highway, especially during the peak hours, to help users who face difficulties. In our foreign segment, 15-year-old boy in custody after rally shoot rampage. Russian President Vladimir Putin claimed that Moscow was doing everything right in its nearly 8-month invasion of Ukraine, despite a string of embarrassing defeats, as Kiev said it was stronger than ever and would emerge victorious. Putin's comments came hours after Kremlin-installed officials in the southern region of Kherson urged residents to leave after Kiev said its forces were advancing on the region's eponymous main city. Moscow also hinted at the potentially wide extent of the damage dealt to the Crimea Bridge, the sole connection to its mainland to the annexed Ukrainian peninsula, following a blast saying it could take many months to complete repairs. Ukraine, which is clawing back territory in the east as well as in the south, fettered its first Defenders' Day public holiday since the start of Moscow's invasion, pledging victory. Putin has described the explosion of the Crimea Bridge on Saturday as a terrorist act and in retaliation battered Ukraine for 2 days with missiles that hit energy facilities and caused blackouts and disruptions to water supplies. He said on Thursday that for now, there was no need to continue the massive salvo of missiles that hit cities, several far from the front line and left at least 20 civilians dead. He explained the Russian military had other objectives. Yesterday, Moscow installed authorities in the region renewed a call for residents to temporarily leave, with reports that Ukrainian forces had been gaining ground near Kherson. French agribusiness Danone on Friday said it planned to transfer control of its essential dairy and plant-based business in Russia, retaining only its infant nutrition branch. One of the few multinationals to have remained in Russia since the Ukraine war, Danone said the move to transfer effective control of the dairy business could result in a write-off of up to €1 billion. The arm represented 5% of Danone's net sales in 2022 so far. The group said in a statement that Danone considers that this is the best option to ensure long-term local business continuity for its employees, consumers and partners. It added that the transaction will be subject to the approval of authorities. Danone will, however, retain the activities of its specialized nutrition arm, which includes infant milk. In March, the French group said it would continue its business in Russia, where it employs 8,000 people, as many international companies suspended operations in the wake of Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. But Danone spoke in July of the extremely tense operational conditions in Russia and Ukraine. A large number of major Western companies have pulled out of Russia in an exodus since Moscow invades its pro-Western neighbor on 24th February. Starbucks and McDonald's were among American corporations to announce their exit. A 15-year-old male suspect was in a North Carolina hospital in critical condition on Friday after he went on a shooting spree that led to an hours-long manhunt and left 5 people dead in the state capital. Police Chief Estella Patterson on Friday said they have yet to determine a motive for the shooting, which turned a quiet middle-class neighborhood into a 3.2-kilometer wide crime scene on Thursday. Patterson did not identify the suspect by name or say how he was injured. The shootings began at 5 p.m. local time on the streets of Raleigh Haddingham neighbourhood, where residents were told to remain in their homes for hours as police conducted a massive search. The suspect was later found near the Nose River Greenway, a walking and biking trail where he shot more people. After a standoff, police apprehended him at a residence near the trail. The shooting came with gun violence again on the minds of many Americans. In May, a gunman murdered 19 school children and 2 teachers at an elementary school in Texas just day after a man shot dead 10 people at Buffalo, New York grocery store. 2 months later, 7 people were killed during a 4th of July parade in Illinois. The mayor of Colombia's capital, Bogota, Claudia Lopez, confirmed Friday that police have arrested 19 alleged members of Tren de Aragua, one of the Venezuela's main criminal gangs. The mayor said the people have also seized weapons, drugs and criminal proceeds. Venezuelan police and the Technical Investigation Corps of Colombia's Attorney General's office have also captured a police lieutenant for his alleged links to the Venezuelan gang. The captured officer allegedly facilitated the gang's criminal operations in Kennedy, located in the capital district of Bogota, one of the capital's areas most affected by Tren de Aragua's activity. The Colombian Minister of Defense, Ivan Velasquez, has referred to this latest news and emphasized that the arrest of the police officer confirms that the new government is committed to the fight against institutional corruption. In spite of everything, Velasquez recognized that the arrest of a police officer for alleged corruption is still something that naturally generates regret, as it contravenes the fundamental commitment of the country's security forces, which is not to be generators of insecurity. Captain Ibrahim Traore, who led the latest coup in Burkina Faso, was named interim president until elections are held in July 2024, 2 members of the ruling junta told AFP. Some 300 delegates from political parties, social and religious groups, security forces, unions, as well as people displaced by terrorist violence had gathered to discuss the country's future at a national forum in the capital of Ouagadougou. It adopted Article 5 of a transition charter, which stipulates that the head of the party of the ruling junta assumes the positions of transition president, head of state and supreme chief of the National Armed Forces, the 2 sources said. Traore has been head of the Patriotic Movement for Preservation and Restoration (MPSR), as the junta chose to call itself since the 30th September coup. The forum also adopted an article in the charter which says the transition president's mandate ends with the investiture of the president resulting from elections planned in 2024. It adds that the transition president is not eligible to stand in presidential, legislative and local elections organized to end the transition period. Traore, 34, leading disgruntled junior officers, forced out Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Sandaogo Damiba, who had seized power only in January, toppling Burkina's last elected president, Rochma Christian Kabore. The